It is my absolute belief, and I'm a politician, I see Enda Kenny on a regular basis, I see lots of politicians on a regular basis, you know what I mean? But the point of the matter is the Irish state sent 200,000 children incarcerated under warrant. And Enda Kenny, the Fine Gael government, the Fine Gael party, the Labour Party, Fianna Fáil, Sinn Féin, and all the political parties stand and die. So it's easy for one co-accused to attack the next. I think that the statement in relation to the Vatican, it's not about the Vatican. It's about building proper legislation that protects children. And that man is holding up the major legislation that will bring in a new constitution for children because of the influence of the church. You've got Rowley Quinn, on the other hand, who is in government with the present party, trying to hijack the compensation bill and trying to get churches and trying to get schools into mainstream and trying to use the issues. The point of the matter is that Enda Kenny's party, the party of Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Labour, Sinn Féin, were aware of the indemnity deal when it was done. And that indemnity deal was an absolute disgrace. 3 billion euros of your money was used to hush the whole thing up. Solicitors and barristers, okay, did a deal with the state to get all of the cases together of all of those children who were going to take a civil action or a criminal action against the state to railroad them into the Ryan Commission and railroad them into the redress situation. Everybody was hoodwinked and ordered. And unfortunately, while I have an enormous amount of respect for Enda Kenny, and I have a huge amount of respect for my country and my countrymen and women, in this instance they're lagging really, really far behind. But not that far behind anybody else in other jurisdictions that we're dealing with. They're not alone. Australia, Canada, even the United States of America are slow to deal with the phenomena of the Catholic Church and the institution, and they have not made significant arrests into that situation for some strange reason. I mean, after all, it's very important to remember this. The money that the Catholic Church has is our dollar.
I have a question for Billye and for Karen. Karen, you talked about the culture of violence that the Penn State case is sort of situated in. And Billye, you mentioned how you're seeing some young people for 4 or 5 years in the process of their treatment. In those 4 or 5 years, or in the 4 or 5 years that perhaps you're at a college campus, what are some of the other violent forces that are causing violence, disrupting treatment, and really determining the outcomes for young people?
I'll just respond quickly, and then I'll let you take it. The prevalence and condoning of alcohol, back to Penn State, they're known as being a real party school. That is a factor. Just the fact that we're not talking about women that are being raped on campus. We're talking about the young boys, and I'm glad we are, but there's also women being raped. So again, it's the silence, the minimizing, victim blaming. So those are some of the forces that come to mind for me.
Before Bill, is there a rape crisis program at Penn State? I mean, is there some sort of a network or an adjudication process for survivors of sex assault?
There are some services in like the women's studies department, and it wasn't, they weren't taken very seriously or invited to some of the big meetings, and then there are community-based services too, but they weren't part of the inner circle.
Clearly.
I think from a treatment perspective, when you're talking about work with children, a lot of factors can impact treatment, and one specifically, if the child is not believed by their family and not supported, that has a huge impact on outcomes. And so we know from doing the work, children who are believed and supported tend to do much better in treatment than children who are not. And oftentimes the children we see the longest, those are the challenges that we're dealing with. There is no support. The perpetrator could still be very active in their lives, although maybe not in the home, for example. They could have been placed because of the abuse or placed for another reason and then disclosed abuse in the system, which has a whole other set of consequences and difficulties. So I would say that the biggest thing is whether the child is believed and supported, and that predicts treatment outcomes. The biggest potential barrier.
Excellent. Anyone else? Okay. I want to thank everybody here, and I know Mary Haviland. I'd like to introduce Mary, who's the Executive Director of the New York City Alliance.
I'm going to be very brief. I just want to say thank you to all of you for coming tonight. Thank you for staying for this program. I have to thank the Culture Project, which made this whole thing possible. Gabriel Byrne and Liam Neeson, and I especially want to thank Mr. Flynn for his extraordinary performance. What a talented man. If I accomplished half of what he's accomplished, by the time I'm 100, I'd be proud. I also really want to thank Victoria Anjahar and Kathleen Cogswell. They were the two who really put this program together, one from the Culture Project, the other from the Alliance. I really want to thank them. I want to thank David Madeline, who's over there behind the camera, who's helping us out tonight. And I really want to thank our panel, Senator Duane. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Robert, thank you for coming out tonight. Karen, thank you for traveling from Pennsylvania. And Gary, thank you so much for the work that you did today. And I really want to thank Susan, who is a dedicated board member of the Alliance, a longtime friend, colleague, and I really thank you for so graciously moderating this panel tonight. Thank you very much.